For many years, people have wanted the proper wall, and we have a wall that, the likes of which very few places have ever seen. This is going to be close to 500 miles. By the time we finish, those are the areas that are most important. It'll be over 400 miles. We think we can get it close to 500 miles. By the end of next year, depending on certain terrain conditions. The wall is 30 feet high. We also have 18-foot wall. We have a combination of 30 feet and 18. Depending on the area, depending on the importance, tremendous cooperation from Mexico. And the President of Mexico has been fantastic. All of Mexico has been fantastic. As you know, right now, they have 27,000 soldiers. So in addition to the wall, we have soldiers now. The wall still obviously has a ways to go. But we're building it at a break-that-neck speed. Each individual slot. And you'll see it's a combination of steel, concrete, and as one of the folks just said, it really is virtually impenetrable. It goes down 6 feet because after the wall is up, we pour concrete and concrete goes into the tube. And in addition to that, we have rebar. So if you think you're going to cut it with a blowtorch, that doesn't work because you had concrete, and then, if you think you're going to go through the concrete, that doesn't work because we have very powerful rebar inside. So it's a very powerful wall. The likes of which, probably to this extent, it has not been built before. So Mr. President, I want to build on your comments. This is a system. It is both the two walls, but it also is road networks, down through the middle and the back, that Customs and Border can go ahead and continue to be able to move around it. Also, lighting system, this makes it almost impenetrable. Right now, they've had 4 attempts to cut through this. All 4 times it's failed. Border chose been able to respond and interject those individuals. This right here, this design, it's a game changer. And the reason we pour the concrete afterwards is because it's too heavy to lift when the concrete's poured in. So we put it up and we pour the concrete. A lot of people don't see that, but we pour the concrete afterwards. So you have the rebar, you have the steel, and then you have concrete. And it's hardened concrete. Very powerful concrete. What is that? 4,000 pounds or 5,000 pound concrete. That's a very strong, that's a very powerful concrete. Well, you know, just in terms of the quality, I came with the Border Patrol. We worked with them very closely. I said, fellas, how about doing the less expensive version? They said, well, this is the version that works, including the poured concrete in the steel, with the rebar and everything else. That's the Rolls-Royce version. And I said, well, fellas, how about doing 1 wall instead of 2? In a lot of areas, we have to where you have. One said, well, sir, 2 works much better in these years. A lot more expensive. But the transition at the top makes the climb orders of magnitude more difficult. It requires different equipment, different tools, different skills. And so it's the change as we get to the top that adds to the protection of that fence, sir. We had 20 mountain climbers. That's all they do. They love to climb mountains. Some of them were champions, and we gave them different prototypes of walls. And this was the one that was hardest to climb. Plus, it's designed to absorb heat. So it's extremely hot. The wall is, you won't be able to touch it. You can fry an egg on that wall. It's very, very hot, technologically, very advanced. All set up for cameras, any place we want, wired so that we will know if somebody's trying to break through. And you may want to discuss that a little bit, General. Sure, there could be some Marine and not discussing that. Okay, I like that. That was a great answer.